Well, this might be the very best clean amp out there in existence. Hey everyone, this is Carlos from Amalgam Audio, and this is a first video in what I hope will become a series that we will run for a longer time, that I would like to call StoryTime. So in those videos I'll introduce you to some of the wonderful amps that we're releasing. So these videos will accompany our weekly releases, and this will give me a chance to tell you a bit more about the history of some amps, some interesting stories, some design aspects, maybe some playing examples by me or somebody who comes here as a guest. And sometimes it will be just me talking and some clips from the captures that Fabian plays in the demos. So this would be a chance for me to give the respect to some of those amazing and legendary amps that we're releasing. And especially this year, I feel like there's so many very special pieces coming out that it will be a cardinal sin not to make a video about it and give you a bit more intimate detail about each amp. And in some cases, the amps in question are not something that people are familiar with, or that's, maybe you've never heard of it. And this is certainly the case with this amp, and this tipped me over to stop waiting for the perfect time to make the perfect videos that I would like to do. So I'm just gonna start doing the best I can in this moment, and I would like to introduce you to this amplifier. So this amp is called FS Lab Amber. FS Lab stands for Felix Staniewicz Lab, which is the designer of this amp. The model name of the amp made me giggle a bit. Amber, that's something that is very symbolic to Latvians. Amber is being cast ashore from the Baltic Sea naturally, and it has a lot of myths surrounding it, and there's a lot of folklore and stuff like that. And it's a very fitting name actually for this particular amp because of its clarity and transparency, which is characteristics of a piece of amber, if you imagine that. And also it has this warm, natural yellowish orange color, so it's a very fitting name. This is something extremely special. It's also very dear to me as a guy from Latvia, because this is an amp that has been built by two local legends, and some of you will recognize those guys. You will certainly recognize the brand that they created quite a few years ago, and that's Blue Microphones. So Felix Staniewicz and Mārtiņš Sauspurāns are two Latvian guys who created the Blue Microphones brand. Felix is the lead engineer behind their microphone designs, and he's also my amp tech who takes care of our amps here in the collection. And he's a local legend. Everybody in Latvia brings his amps to him, and he is just a phenomenal engineer. And he is the guy who designed this amp from ground up. It is a very unique design. It was a special order by the guys behind the band with the fetching name Titi Bingo. So they were seriously investing in some of the best gear they could get for what they did, and they had a very specific order. They wanted the most clean, the most noise-free, the most neutral sounding, clean tube amp. And for everyone who has been trying to get clean tones out of any classic vintage amp, you will know that some level of distortion begins to appear pretty soon on the volume dial, even on many amps that are huge power and you know, really big amps with a lot of headroom. Like for example, even the bass spec Marshalls, the 50 and 100 watt Marshalls, they will actually start to break up at about 2. It's not a lot of breakup, but there is noticeable distortion starting to appear if you listen closely. So even the cleans are not clean, and this issue has been tackled a lot of times, and there's been a lot of designs who have been trying to go after this. The Roland Jazz Chorus is a good example, which was a transistor-based unit. But what I did here is they made every single design decision that would lead to a cleaner, clearer, more punchy, more transparent tone. And as a result, this is a true Class A design, and it's featuring 4 6L6 tubes, but it's putting out only about 35 to 50 watts depending on the bias setting. There's 2 options. One is called Class A, the other is called Class AB, but it's not true Class AB, it just shifts the bias. So it gives you more power, but it's still not what you usually would get from a Class AB amp, which would be 100 watts at that point, or 80 at least. And what that does is it removes any chance of crossover distortion. Crossover distortion appears in Class AB amps, which are most of the amp designs that we're familiar with. Most of the medium and big Fender Marshall amps are Class AB. And Class AB means that each of the output tubes, when you look at them in pairs, one of them will take care of the top side of the sine wave, and the other will take care of the bottom part of the sine wave. And there's a point where this switches over from the top to bottom, and there are various reasons why there is room for some distortion that may appear there, and does appear there, and that distortion is called crossover distortion. And a true Class A design removes that by design. So that's just one of the points that has been done here to make sure that the amp sounds clean. In the preamp and the phase inverter, for each stage, a different type of tube has been used. There's a ToneX7, ToneAU7, and ToneAT7, all of which have been picked as the best tube for the given job and in the given position. So there's like really nothing standard or run-of-the-mill about this design. Like, each aspect has been really ironed out to get the last bit of detail and last bit of punch and clarity out of this design. So it's really something quite special. Further, there's been stuff incorporated in this design that comes from some radar constructions from the 60s. Many of you have probably heard about cascode designs. So there's 2 cascode stages here that further take care of noise and increase the signal to noise ratio and make sure that this amp distorts as little as possible and has as little noise as possible with the most effective gain structure, basically. It has incredible amounts of headroom. It's about 4 to 5 on the volume dial. With a humbucker guitar, you would still get like really clean tones. From 4 to 5, it starts to saturate in a way that is very musical and noticeable, but you don't get to a point of breakup yet. And from 5 on, it starts to break up. And that's a point I have to mention here. It's not a pleasant breakup. And this is not what the amp is meant to do. It's very specifically designed to be the very best clean amp that anyone could imagine. And the initial order that the designers got from the guy who ordered it to make the most transparent and neutral tube amp one could actually make is not the first thing that comes to mind thinking about electric guitar and tube amps, because all of them have a color and you know, a character that makes them so iconic and desirable. And this amp has a very clever switch here that's called EQ presets, and you have 4 presets that are literally like presets where the EQ section doesn't work anymore. But preset 1 and preset 2 work together in conjunction with the EQ. You have bass, middle, and treble, the classic EQ section here. And preset 1 is a more neutral, like full-bodied setting. And preset 2 is a bit more scooped, like in the Fender Blackface kind of sound, a bit more. The EQ is extremely responsive, and its tonality altogether is kind of reminiscent of a Blackface Fender, but it's more linear, has more mids. It is very full-bodied. It has a lot of detail, incredible punch, and the impulse that this thing forks out is just incredible. Yeah, so you get like literally almost no noticeable distortion on 4 to 5 on the volume. The amp sounds extremely lively, touch responsive, and really clean. And there's only literally a couple of exceptions that I can think of where the classic tube designs sound good when they're really clean, and those exceptions are the Ampeg Gemini line, Gemini 1 and 2, and the Fender Deluxe Reverb. But especially the Gemini amps sound phenomenal, even on really clean levels, and that's very uncommon, and I think it's mostly because of the tone stack, which is allows you quite extreme treble and bass settings, and you can make it sound more responsive and more lively, even when it's on a low volume setting. With this amp, you can drive it really hard, get it to the point where it's, you know, really alive, and it's still clean. I mean, it starts to sound good at about 2, and when you start to dial it up to 4 or 5, it saturates really nicely, and you know, it gets the really complementary effects of tube amplifier. So it gets really warm and just a beautiful, clean sound. So it is a really unique experience to play this amp. It is, in some regard, like a one-trick pony, in the sense that it doesn't do edge of breakup or crunch or you know, other drive levels that well. But it is specifically for clean stuff. If you're into cleans, and that's a question that I've gotten quite a lot of times, you know, what do you have for really clean cleans? This is the amp that you get for clean cleans. There's nothing else like it. It's really unique. And I really wish, if you're into clean tones, give this a chance, even though you've never heard of it. That doesn't matter. I think that for this kind of job, it's the best thing you can get. And I'm so stoked that this amp has been built in my hometown in Latvia by two amazing and legendary guys. They're local legends here. And yeah, for everyone else, whoever knows what blue microphones are and know their history a bit, those are the guys who did it. And Felix is like the man that you would get for a job where you need the cleanest signal, the least amount of noise, and so on. That's his, like, specialty. So it's like a perfect storm to get the right guy for the right job here. So that's quite amazing. Okay, that's enough talking. Fabian will play us out with some nice examples of what this amp can do based on the captures that we made of it. And like I said, check it out, give it a chance. If you're into cleans, this might be just the ticket that you've been looking for. I hope to see you in the next video. Subscribe to the channel if you like the content, and take care. Bye-bye.